Hello everybody, hello, welcome back to my studio. This is Emma. What another beautiful day it is today. The sun is shining, it's a bit cooler, September's here, so I'm kind of layering up a bit today, but I've still got my trousers on, look. I think they're very creative, and I think they make me feel very creative. They make me feel like the wacky artist that I've always wanted to be. I've spent years, you know, doing, well, not boring jobs. I've always done interesting jobs, I have to say. I've always made them interesting. I've done all sorts of interesting, I don't know, different kinds of things I've done down the years for different organisations, and I've had a lot of fun, but what I'm doing now is just pleasing me, as I said in my last video. So it pleases me greatly to have you all here. It's absolutely wonderful sharing what I'm doing. It makes it so much more joyful. It just gives it that extra raison d'etre, because otherwise I'm just here making stuff and not knowing where it's going to go. This way I've got an audience and I can share with you what I'm doing, and it's lovely. So I welcome you all back to my studio. Thank you very much for all your comments, and thank you for the comments about the trousers. I'm glad you enjoyed them. It was kind of, I was feeling very brave. I thought, oh, do I dance around on my camera and show you my lovely trousers? And I just thought, you know, they were so joyful, they needed to be seen. They needed to be seen by, oh, hello girls, that's the girls saying they agree with me. So I think the most important thing is that we just get on with this piece. I think I sort of feel like I've come back to myself with this piece, with the way it's going, beginning to go, with adding the texture in. I've had some, you know, interesting pieces that I've made this year. If you haven't seen them, if you look back to some of my previous videos, you'll see what I'm talking about. I'll go and get one of my pieces and I'll show you it, because I think it's worth. I think it's worth kind of talking about, because I think throughout this year I've really been working with my intuition. Now, whatever you mean by intuition, you know, your sort of gut instinct, or, you know, your higher self. I don't know, different ways of looking at this, but it's the creative part of us that really can come through when we just let it and we don't try and overthink things. So I made this piece, which some of you will remember, I'm sure, and it looked like goldfish or looking down on the earth, but it was all created from me just cutting the pieces at random and then putting them down. And I really enjoyed that process. I enjoyed making that particular piece. I think that really worked. And this one, you will remember, I'm sure, was very odd, very peculiar, very odd to make, but had the potential that you could use your imagination when you're looking at it. Really, it was really testing, quite so girls, it was really testing your imagination and what you might see in it. And maybe it wasn't finished, maybe it needed more adding to it, I don't know, I'll never know probably. I don't think I'm going back to it, but I was working very, very flat with lots and lots of stitching going on, and as I say, just letting the intuition take charge, if you like. Something else outside of myself was taking charge of where those pieces went. So it's been a big experiment really to see where that was going to take me, and I'm really pleased because I'm kind of coming back to having lots of texture again, and that's really pleasing, because I think that's really where my heart lies, is in texture and stitch and the surface, always about the surface of what I make. It's been my theme for many years. So I kind of feel like now I'm going to marry up the best of both worlds. It's going to be my sort of artistic integrity, my choices, my personality, who I am as an artist, along with this extra dimension that can come in and just take you somewhere that you didn't even know you were going to go. And I think putting those two together, so sort of the different aspects of me in a way. And I just really encourage you to try it. I mean, I really experimented with that, and I know some of you thought I'd really lost it. And I thought I'd really lost it as well. I thought, where's this going to take me? This is really crazy. But I'm glad I've done it, because now I'm coming back to this with greater confidence, knowing that actually I've got this ability to do this now. And I'm just loving it, because I'm going to be experimenting again. I'm always pushing the boundaries of things. I'm always trying things that are different. And I'm just great. It's just great to have you with me with this. So thank you for sticking with me through my crazy months. Thank you for not losing faith in me, and it's great. And we're going to get on with this piece now and see where it's going to take us. So here we are again. Welcome back to this lovely pile of fabrics. I'm just loving it. I'm loving the colours. I'm loving the colours. I'm loving the textures. I'm loving all the possibilities that we've got with these to play with them and add them onto this piece and make it absolutely yummy. I'm so excited to be back doing texture. As I said last time, it's just my thing. It floats my boat, and I don't know about you, but yeah, it's got so much possibilities, as I say. So I'm just cutting up a bit more of this shruggy stuff, which is absolutely lovely to use. It has so many possibilities. It instantly adds texture, and you can, if you cut it right, if I cut it right, you can really look. You can see you can unravel it and get these lovely little bits like this, which with an embellishing machine, you know, can be adding onto, you know, other bits of fabric and being embellished into place and really adding into the mix. It's like adding spices or something delicate into your cooking, isn't it? You add a little bit of, je ne sais quoi, and I just love things like this. I love pulling things apart because you never quite know what you're going to get. If you just really, you have to be quite brutal with it, really, to really tear it up. But it works a treat. Look at those lovely little bits, and you can't tell where it's come from if you do that. You see, you've changed what it looks like, and that can just add in so nicely. And because you've got your if you have an embellishing machine, apologies if you haven't, you could be stitching that down. It doesn't have to have an embellishing machine. You could be just putting that down, pinning it in place and stitching it very carefully. Obviously it can snag a little bit. Even if you embellish it, it can snag your sewing machine a little bit, but it's well worth it because I just think that adds so much interest to your piece. So I'm going to carry on doing a bit of this and a bit of faffing about, and then I'll kind of show you where I've got to so far. Oh, look. You have to kind of get it right, otherwise it becomes too short to use. But just the right amount of tugging it apart is what works. Okay, so this is where I've got to so far with pinning on some extra bits of fabric, and it's starting to tell a story. I feel it's adding to this very flat background and beginning to add some light and texture. And when I stitch into these, oh, it's going to be so yummy. It's really weird. It's like, I don't know, when you start to write an essay or something, it's quite scary to start off with, but the more I do it, the more I get into how I want it to be, and the more fun it becomes. So I'll just try and show you those bits. They're really lovely and textured, and that's what I want. And it's going to take a while. This is going to be a very slow piece. I think there's absolutely no rushing it. It's just got to be fun and delicious to do. So I'm feeling like I'm wanting to add some more texture to these light bits up here, and it's just finding the pieces that I want to make tell the story, whether you put this bit here or this bit over here. This is what you've got to do. You've got to get your fabrics out and just play with them, piece them, put some nice music on, have a glass of wine, do whatever you need to do to get you out of your head, and just let this process become this lovely thing. So again, I was kind of messing around with this. I don't know whether I can tear this up, or maybe I might just shred this a little bit more so it's not quite so. There you go, you see. I'm being quite rough and quite brutal. You'll think, ooh, what is she doing? She's a bit reckless, that woman. But you see, it just gives you bits that are unexpected. It also snaps them, which may or may not be what you want. But it just means you can add them into different places, and you can be adding. So that bit now kind of goes on top of there. Oh, there you go. I've brought you in a bit closer so you can see this bit. So these are just random little bits like that, but I'm going to be putting them on here, and by the time I've embellished them, that changes the surface of them anyway, so they won't end up looking like this. But this little piece that I've just been tearing, you see, could have, you know, it could have something going up either side of it, or you could, perhaps we could shred that a little bit more. It's very fiddly, but this is what I like to do. I like to faff about and see what possibilities there are. So you could have that bit sort of inserted somehow into there. How much nicer could your day be than just spent playing with little bits of fabric like this to add je ne sais quoi. Now I'm not sure I want that colour over this side. I'm going to keep that over there, I think. So you can see this is going to take quite a while because it's slow and it's fiddly and it's delicious to do. And I'll start to embellish. What I'll do is I'll do a little bit like this. My process is I think I'm going to do a little bit like this, keep embellishing it, keep adding it, and I'm just going to work my way up. I could work from the top down, but I seem to have started down at the bottom. The other thing I was going to talk about at this stage, let's just see if I can get you there, is the edges. Now I am quite liking this soft raggedy edge. I've done a lot of very tight edges recently and I feel that it's time to have something softer. So I'm going to show you this piece which some of you will remember, I think from last year sometime. It was my little mountain that I did from a sketch actually when I was on my holidays last year. So this edge is so nice. In fact the whole piece is lovely because you can see just how yummy and textured that is, can't you? And all the flowers and everything were just done, you know, so loosely, and then a little bit of stitching. So I'm going to aim to have my edges like this, so a little bit turned under, but then with enough layering going on to have nice soft gentle edges like that, so they're not all hard. And I'll just move that there and you can see the edge better. Look, there you go, you can see it's got an edge but it's quite soft. This top bit is a little bit more defined because that's just the nature of what I had going on, but I love that this was an explosion of just texture down at this end. So, and it's all how it comes out in the wash as the process takes you along. Don't you find things just change and you alter what you want to do and you see what fits and what doesn't. So I'm going to faff about it some more with this and I'll show you as I go along how it's going to grow and develop. So I'm just starting here with getting some of these little pieces down because comes a point when you've just got to be bold and say, yes, I'm putting this piece here. Because if you don't start the ball rolling, nothing else can happen. No good can come of it if you don't actually commit to something. I find once I get started, then the rest will just flow. And I'm just adoring these textures. And the whole thing is, nothing is right and nothing is wrong. This is all about what your eye sees, or in this case what my eye sees, and how it feels. If it feels right, I'll do it, you know. And the lovely thing about embellishing is it helps you to hold things in place so that you can come and stitch it afterwards. Now obviously you could just be stitching this down. It would be a bit fiddly, but this, because the embellisher really helps you to hold things in place. And this is quite slow embellishing. This is not just doing a great big sheet of embellishing. This is really soft and gentle and slow. But as I say, you don't have to have an embellisher to get these textures. You could be doing it just with stitching, because I have done it. I'm going to put that down a little bit. I don't know if I want that down. And what you can do, you see, you can be pulling bits up and having more texture, so it doesn't all have to be flat down. You could be pulling up the background to add more texture in. We could add a little bit of something. I don't want to make it too fiddly. I want it to be quite sort of As I say, this is slow work. There's no rushing this, which is great. Who would want to rush? Oops. This shruggy stuff is so fun because it does get stuck to everything. You see how that changes that from this surface here then becomes this like that, you see, and then when you add stitching onto that, it's going to be super, really. And what I'm doing here is I'm using the machine to create sort of lumpy bits, bits in relief, kind of. If you don't like what you've got down, you can just pull it off. We're not at the stage when you're stitching, when actually once you've stitched it, you're really stuck with what you've done. I don't know whether I want to split that up a little bit, you see. Might just do a bit of this. There we go, that's better, that's better, that's better. That's softened it. That was a bit hard edged. It's this fabric here, and it's lovely because it's got some netty bits. I hold it up like that. It's got some netty bits and some solid bits. And the solid bits are lovely colours, but they are very much a solid shape. So if I kind of split them up a little bit like this, that's so much better, I think. Not very good for your nails, this, I don't suppose. Oh, but makes great art. That's much better. Much happier with that. And I might just do edges, you see. I could just do a little bit of that down there. And then that bit can sort of be sticking up a wee bit. Something like that. And I can add something else in there. See, this is going to take me 100 years, ladies and gentlemen. So just bear with. Go and make a cup of tea. Go and put your feet up. Go and redecorate your entire house. And when you come back, I might actually have got it finished. Okay, so I hope you can see there is a difference. And things are progressing. If I pull this down here maybe and show you the contrast between that bit, which is just the plain background, versus this bit down here that I've been adding little bits to. So I've got layers onto here and this bit, a little bit started over here. I'm not quite sure where that's going. I've got some brighter green coming in. I'm not 100% sure if I want that there. Perhaps you could let me know. Do you think the bright green works, or do you think we should take it off or put something over the top of it? That bit there. You could tell me, please, what you think. So what I really love is how it changes the surface. I'm just adding, you know, little scrappy bits, playing around with them. I'm trying to keep it in the sort of same colourway as what's going on the background, roughly. But I don't mind if little stray bits come in because, you know, this is meant to be a sort of a hedgerow full of movement, full of light, full of different plants doing different things. And it's just a play. I'm just playing with it, and I'm just loving though how it comes together. The embellisher is really helpful. Obviously you could do this just with stitching and pinning. You don't have to have an embellisher, but it does help hold things in place for you. And I just do a little bit of light embellishing and see what that looks like, and then I do a bit more if necessary. So it's quite a simple process. So I thought, well, I'll just pop that on there, and then you get the sort of the feeling of how it's going to be when we've got these really much more sort of 3D on them, you know, a deeper level, if you like, than these bits, which are becoming quite pronounced in some of the cases. So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope it brings you lots of inspiration, and that maybe you'll go and have a play with your fabrics this week. And I shall just look forward to seeing you in my studio again next week, and we'll just see where I've got to on the journey of this piece. It's a slow piece. It's not in any kind of a hurry, and it's just going to take the time it takes to do it. So lots of love from me. Enjoy your week. Bye for now.
ba 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 ba